just watching a little bit about J Mel's video, and he mentioned how he's been on his own since he's been in the age of 21.
That's when he came to my house.
Yeah. So he's been on his own since 21. That's kind of rough. Usually, you hear about like people being on their own as a youngster, like at 15,
Yeah,
16. But I mean, 21,
right.
he was on his own.
He was a person in drink alcohol, 21 and over, exactly. Um, I
Yeah.
don't know what I don't. I'm not gonna lie. I think he's privileged. Just very privileged. I don't understand that because where I come from, you mention something like that, you get clowned.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
you get clowned. So I didn't teach him that. When he was saying, and then I seen one video where he said he was on his own since he was 17, since he'd been in college at ONU. And speaking of ONU, me getting him kicked out of college, I paid 30-40% of the expenses
Mm.
and have a $50,000 debt that I had to pay off because of that. And then when he did get put out for forging Dr. Cooper White's signature, he was a pediatrician, but I think he was 19 or 20 years old at the time. He had it when you need an excuse. If you miss the final, you need a doctor's excuse or something to make the final up.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And he did that before, and it worked. And there's only so many times you can do something like that before they get suspicious.
Oh, so he was forging a doctor's signature saying that he couldn't turn in his work. So he was putting down a doctor's
Yep.
name. And that's the
Yes.
reason why he got in trouble.
That's the dismissal. That's why the forgery happened. And he had got charged 2 other times for other things. But with the other things, I did send you an email about the lawyer I retained for him for his educational lawyer, where he got charged with pulling a fire alarm, some money, financial theft, and his roommate defecated on the hallway. It wasn't Jamel, but it was his roommate. But Mr. I'm just going to say his first name, Chad, the student code of conduct director, charged Jamel with everything.
Oh,
Charged him with all of.
so J Mel had to go to a college court.
Yep, he had to go to college court in 2015 for those 3 charges. And the person who pulled the fire alarm, he was the son of a Michigan senator. So when when he came after the senator's son, the senator threatened the director and said, "If you come after my son, I'll have your job." He left him alone. Jamel got charged with all 3. So I had to get a educational lawyer, $300 an hour, and I found out, did my research, went to the U.S. Department of Education downtown Cleveland at the local branch, found out how to file a complaint. I did like a 3-page report, filed a complaint on this man because he did use some racial slurs against Jamel. I was defending Jamel, and in his defense, I also filed him as the NAACP, so we can have some support with the racial slurs. The Lima Chapel, to be precise.
So you guys had a court with the NCAACP backing up J Mel Flow.
Exactly. Because I came up, it took me 2 days. I woke up and thought about it that maybe I should involve them. So when I called them, they said, "Well, you're not a member." So that's when I became a member. Then I paid for Jamel to be a member so they can back us up. Yes, I did.
So y'all almost had like Al Sharpton in court.
Yes.
Al Sharpton. Oh my God. That's amazing. Now, one of the things I wanted to ask you, when we were talking about the scams of his supporters. And then I want to, because people believe that you guys are all correlated with it. But I want to ask you about, he not only scammed his supporters, but he also scammed you.
Oh, I thought, okay, my phone must have cut off. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
With the child support card, he was in Florida for the AAU championships because I'm also an AAU and USATF decathlon coach, assistant coach in Bedford for an AAU team, but also branch out on my own. And when we went to go get just going to an outing for churros, and I swiped the child support card to get my daughter some things, and it said declined. And I'm like, that's funny. Maybe it's a fraud alert. If you swipe too many times, sometimes it shuts it down, deactivate it, and you got to call. but it wasn't that. Jamil had used the card, and he tried to, say he didn't. And when I looked at some of the things he used, I seen the bag where he was eating it from, with some of the evidence. He had some of the evidence in the hotel room.
Wait, J Mel used his sister child support card?
Sadly, to say yes.
Oh wow. And he used the card for food and other expenses.
Yes.
And you also mentioned that he also used another card, a Grubhub card.
He months later he used my bank card, and I didn't notice that it was about approximately $300 worth of charges, and I didn't notice the 300 charges because I had enough money where I didn't really notice it right away. And when I was in a court case custody battle that I did win, and they wanted to see some bank statements, and he wanted to see bank statements to if he can decrease child support, which I don't care about that. So I looked at my bank statements, and there was $53,